Our dear friends, I have a question for you. When you walk into a supermarket and have to pay more for bread, milk, or cooking oil, does it concern you? When you see the payments on your home loan and car loans increase because interest rates have gone up, do you get worried that you may have less money at the end of the month to pay for your kids' school fees, food, and electricity? When you turn the TV on and hear about the bombings in Ukraine, do you get scared that if a Russian or Ukrainian soldier gets the coordinates for a bomb wrong and it ends up where it shouldn't, it could end up spiraling out of control and the entire world could erupt into a global war? And even if these things don't apply to you or scare you, have you ever felt that you have been destined for greater things? That you are sick and tired of the mediocre, banal, and ordinary, and you want to transform your life into the realm of the extraordinary, but are either too scared or just don't know how to do it? Do these things worry you? They say that a man shouldn't express his emotions and fears, but I don't think so. I'm only human. And I don't know about you, but I sometimes get scared shitless. Hello everyone, this is Lakhi, and I'm a life-altering money coach and life coach. Now, before I continue, you're probably wondering, who is this man by the name of Lakhi that I haven't even heard of, and why should I even listen to him? Well, the truth, our dear friends, is you shouldn't. I know that I'm an unknown. But the thing is, when you're not known and when you're an underdog like me, you just don't have the luxury to be second best. You can't afford to make too many mistakes. You can't be a donkey. You've got to be a racehorse. You have to deal with every student like they are your only student. Also, you've got to be authentic and unique. Now, in an ocean of other speakers, coaches, authors, and entrepreneurs, it's often hard to differentiate yourself. However, here's a question for you. Do you think that all the zebras in the world are the same? Yes, they look the same, but the question is, are they the same? Did you know that of the world's estimated 750,000 zebras, no two zebras have the same stripes? Each zebra's DNA is different, and the same can be said of me. I know that my DNA is different to yours, and yours is different to the next person. That's why I pride myself on being different, authentic, and unique. Many years ago, a mentor said to me that if I can leave the world in a slightly better place than I found it, then I have done well. So I'm not in the business for neither fame nor fortune. Instead, I'm here to make a meaningful, measurable, significant, and sustainable difference to your life. Let me repeat that. To your life, not mine. This is about me. This is about you, our dear friends, not me. So, why am I reaching out to you today? Well, it's pretty straightforward. I want to be your mentor. Now, friends, some of you may have tried various techniques to reach a mountaintop of your desires. You may have tried meditation or manifestation or the law of attraction. Maybe you've tried prayer. Maybe you're waiting on a miracle. Or maybe you've just given up on miracles. For some of you, none or some or even all of these things may have worked. I'm not here to say what works and what doesn't. I'm no guru and I'm no saint. I'm just an ordinary man here today to share my extraordinary experiences with you. So please lend me your ears for the next 20 minutes and allow me to share 3 incredible experiences that transformed my life. For those of you that may be struggling with health issues, I'll share with you how faith cured me of an 80% brain disability. For those of you wanting to start a family but are unable to, we'll share with you how faith and an unconquering belief made that happen. And for those of you struggling with money, again, we'll share with you that through the power of faith, a miracle unfolded in front of our eyes. Now, by the age of 22, my life was in 6th gear and I was soaked in ego. 4 years earlier, I started a business that manufactured detergents, and this business had grown quite handsomely to the extent that we employed 30 people and spun a few million in annual revenue. Then on a beautiful sunny African afternoon in January 1998, while journeying back from the idyllic port city of Durban that is nestled on the warm waters of the Indian Ocean and tucked into the southeastern corner of South Africa, I was traveling home to Johannesburg. Now, Johannesburg is located 350 miles or 560 kilometers north of Durban and is the financial capital of Africa. So while cruising along the M3 super freeway, I was involved in a horrendous car crash. From the scene of the accident, I was airlifted to a big hospital. As I was wheeled off the helicopter into the emergency room, medics told my wife of 5 weeks that it was unlikely that I would live, as my injuries were just way too severe. And even if I did make it, there was a high probability that I would end up with a stroke, paralysis, or even a brain disability. Now, a few weeks later, I woke up from a coma while in intensive care, and I remember an incident where I was taken to the doctor's consulting rooms. And while waiting, I saw a team of doctors congregate behind the walls where they spoke in all hushed tones. And I wondered what was so top secret and coveted that they had to whisper. Then they sat me down around the table, and here was a neurosurgeon, a neurologist, and a neuropsychologist. And what they had to say to me next would forever change the face of my life. They said to me, "Mr. Lakhi, we believe that you've ended up with an 80% brain disability." Imagine that, dear friends, at the age of 22, to be told that only 20% of your brain worked, and that it was unlikely that I would ever recover from that condition. I was angry because I had felt that I was relegated from hero to zero. And from there, my life sunk into a bottomless abyss that featured an uncertain future. So that was in 1998. Now fast forward to early 2002, 4 years later, I had an epiphany where I felt that even if 4/5 of my brain didn't work, at least 1/5 worked. And that epitomized hope. And from a glass that was 80% empty, I started seeing it as 20% full. In a flash, things were no longer the end, but merely a bend. I also deciphered that even though I was mentally disabled and financially disabled, I was not physically disabled. And naturally, my body still worked. And so I used that as a bargaining tool. So let me explain. Inspired by this newfound hope, I made a deal with the CEO of the universe. I asked him that if he restored my mental, intellectual, and cognitive ability, I would donate 80 pints of blood. In other words, for each unit of my disability, I would donate 1 pint of blood. Therefore, for an 80% disability, I would donate 80 units of blood. Now, for those of you that know about blood donation, you'll know that you can only give about half a liter of blood every 8 weeks. So this meant that it would take me about 12 years to achieve that goal, to make good on my promise. I also figured that if the plan was going to work, it would only work if I worked. So instead of sitting on my ass and waiting for my health to be restored, the next thing that I did was, you guessed it, I made my inaugural blood donation. I showed the CEO of the universe that I was determined to make good on my promise. Then I went to register for a law degree. People thought that I was mad, and actually they were not wrong, because technically I wasn't of full mental capacity, and therefore they were right. But I didn't care about the doomsdayers and naysayers. I then accentuated my tertiary education with an advanced diploma in banking and a postgrad diploma in financial planning. And then I amplified my journey to health restoration by exercising regularly and participated in the world's most beautiful marathon, the Two Oceans Marathon. Now, Oceans is run on Easter Saturday in one of the world's most beautiful cities on the planet, and that is Cape Town. Now, for those of you wondering whether I had to wait for 12 years for my health to be restored, the answer is no. Actually, it took me about 18 years to complete my promise, proclamation, and oath to donate almost 40 liters of blood, enough to fill up the gas tank on a small SUV that I made to the CEO of the universe. And this was because I spent time living and working abroad in London and Malaysia, and I was precluded from donating blood there. And even though it took 18 years for me to complete my side of the deal, the CEO of the universe is famous for helping those who help themselves. When I showed him the will to win, coupled by the tenacity, fortitude, and resolve to succeed, the rest was simple. It wasn't easy to get through university and to train for oceans, but it was a simple formula to follow. So now that we've spoken about that, let's move to another miracle. Now, in 1999, my wife Zinni and I really wanted a kid. We went to several doctors, and the story was always the same. Because of the injuries that I sustained in the car crash, I was shooting blanks. Now, when a couple can't have a family, it's fascinating how our sexist society is predisposed to lay blame at the wife. But in my case, I made no qualms in shouldering the responsibility. Eventually, we tried adoption. Even that didn't work, or so we thought. For 1 year, Zinni and I had our lives placed under a microscope as we went through a myriad of background checks that included bank statements, income tax records, and medical checks. Then everything came to an abrupt halt, and we even gave up on adoption. And then one day out of the blue in 2004, a social worker called us and informed us that her newly born beautiful baby was up for adoption. Imagine that. Overnight, we were transformed into a wonderful family. But then it got even better. As Zinni and I approached our 10th wedding anniversary, and by another miracle of the CEO of the universe, Zinni fell pregnant. And within a few months, we went from 3 to 4. So, how did all this happen, you may ask? Now, before I answer that question, I'd like to ask another question. How many of you think that the CEO of the universe either ignores you or just laughs at your plans? That he has some weird and twisted sense of humor. I know that I used to think this way. Or that if he does grant you your wish, he does it on his own damn time. So let me answer your question about how all this unfolded. You see, our dear friends, in 1999, I made a prayer to the CEO of the universe to grant Zinni and I a kid. At the time, I felt that he replied to me by saying, okay, we'll wait a century. Now, let's just look at this logically. A century consists of 100 years. Very few people even live for 100 years anymore. At the time, I was 24 years old. So did it mean that I would become a father at the age of 124? Was he just laughing at me? After that, I felt disillusioned. But what I didn't realize at that time were two things. Number one is at that time in late 1999 when I made the prayer, we were getting ready to say goodbye to the 20th century and to usher in the 21st century. Now 5 years later, in a new century, our son Doctor was born. So the request was accepted in one century but fulfilled not 100 years later, but rather 5 years later in another century. Number two, I think that the time in 1999 to have a kid wasn't right. After all, I was grappling with an 80% brain disability, and I don't think that I would have made a good dad. But by 2004, however, I had bounced back, and I believe that the CEO of the universe wouldn't have sent a kid to me if he didn't think that I'd make an excellent dad. So the lesson in the law here is, our dear friends, everything in the universe happens at its appointed time. And as long as we have faith in the one CEO of the universe, no supplication, our dear friends, goes ignored. The additional law, our dear friends, is when we ask the CEO of the universe for one kid, he has a big heart, and instead he gave us two amazing kids. So dear friends, when you ask the CEO of the universe for something, think big and ask for more than what you want, because the CEO of the universe has unlimited, infinite, and bountiful treasures. So now that we've spoken about health and family, let's talk about money. Now, for those of you that have participated in our Platinum Workshop or got our MP3s or bought our book Highway to Heaven, you'll know that one of the rules of money that we talk about is the law of 10%. Now, quickly, the law of 10% says that 10% of what you make is yours to keep. So whether you are a hairdresser, a physician, or even a magician, you've got to put away at least 10% of your monthly income. If you can do more, please do so, but never do less. Now, let's say that you earn 100 grand a year, in whatever currency it may be. In year one, you save 15%, so that would be 15 grand. In year two, you get a small raise, and your money in year one grows by, let's say, 5%. So that means that in year two, you would have saved 20 grand. So after 24 months, you've saved 35 grand. Now, if you're always broke, how does the prospect of having 35 grand saved up make you feel? So one evening, I was looking at our quarterly financial statements and specifically monitoring how our investments that were funded were using the law of 10% was doing. Now, at the time, we were saving 12% and wanted to get it up to 17%. And we looked at our bank statements and realized that mortgages, car payments, and student loans that we were paying for at the age of 35 were eating into our cash flow. So we set up our goal to settle all our short-term debt within 6 months. We also put that goal on our list of things to pray for. But we didn't do it in 6 months, our dear friends. We did it in 5. So you may ask, how did you do that? So we did that by doing this. Now, a few weeks later, while at work, my cell phone rang and Zinni's name showed on the caller ID. And I was expecting to hear Zinni's usual buoyant optimism, but the voice was not that of Zinni's. So I instinctively went into defensive mode. And the voice on the other side told me that Zinni and our boys were involved in a car crash and that they were hurt. So after Zinni and the boys spent the night in hospital, and they were discharged, we realized that the only injuries from the car crash was really just a whole lot of cuts and bruises, and it wasn't as bad as we had first thought. Now, a few days later, the insurance company called us and they said that they decided to write the car off because it just wasn't worth repairing. And we were surprised because we thought it was just a rear bumper that needed to be replaced and spray painted. But we were a bit livid because a few months earlier, we got a new car on the strength that at the end of that year, Zinni's car would be paid off. So what this accident meant is that we were back to paying 2 cars again. But nevertheless, the insurance company made the deposit a few days later, and with that, we were able to settle my car. So all of a sudden, things weren't looking too bad, and we thought that things had normalized. Now, about 3 weeks later, Zinni's car was delivered, and the salesman, a diamond of a man by the name of Sean Nodier, as he was leaving our home, he said that our name had been entered into a competition draw, that if we bought and financed a Kia or a Hyundai that month, we stood the chance to win the car back. In other words, the dealer would settle the bank. And we didn't think much of it and dismissed it. After all, our surname is Lakhi, not Lakhi. Now, a few weeks after that, we were out on a family walk on a Saturday morning, and our son, Mr. Chairman, he needed to take a wee, so we stopped at a posh hotel. And as our boys made their way to the loo, Zinni and I ordered coffees and milkshakes and sat at the pool. And a few minutes later, our cell phone rang, and guess what? Who was it? It was Sean, and he was ecstatic, excited, and over the moon as he told us that we had just won the car. Can you imagine the euphoria that we felt? So what that accident meant was that Zinni got a brand new car that was fully paid. My car got paid off from the proceeds of the insurance claim, and with the extra cash that we had, our short-term debt was settled within a few months. And herein lies another law, our dear friends, and that is when our hearts truly believe, there is no limit to what the one CEO of the universe will help us achieve. That is far beyond what our minds can conceive. So thus far, we've spoken about how leveraging the power of prayer, fused with hard work and coupled with faith, opened up a life of amazing possibilities for us, where all our dreams started coming true. From bouncing back with an 80% brain disability, to starting a family, to becoming short-term debt-free within less than 6 months. Now, before we wrap this broadcast up by summarizing the key laws, we always like to under-promise and over-deliver. So we're going to share one more miracle with you. And this is the story about the Ferrari. Now, have you ever prayed for one thing and got something else? No. We're sure you have. Now, a few weeks before I turned 40, I really wanted a Ferrari. So we went to a Ferrari showroom and looked at different models, including the California, the Scuderia, and the Spider. And we even had the opportunity of driving a 458 Italia. And as always, we put this on our prayer list and of things to ask the CEO of the universe for. So when I eventually turned 40, my prayer was indeed accepted, though differently. Now, instead of getting a Ferrari, I got a bicycle. And when that bicycle arrived, I didn't know whether I should be livid and annoyed or to be ecstatic and euphoric. And we were clearly living on the CEO of the universe's good humor. Now, a few weeks later, I went for an annual medical, and my doctor said to me that just as well that I had taken up cycling because my cholesterol levels had gone off the charts and I was becoming a ripe candidate for a heart attack. And herein lies another law, our dear friends, and that is that sometimes we get what we need and not necessarily what we want. After all, a Ferrari would have been useless to me if I was dead. So friends, to summarize, here are the 6 laws in today's broadcast. And that is, know what you want. Be definitive, deliberate, and intentional in terms of what you want. Number 2, make a deal with the one CEO of the universe. Remember, the one CEO of the universe is independent of mankind and of humanity. So he doesn't need anything from us. So when offering something, try to let it be something that will benefit another person. In the case of us with the blood donations, blood can't be manufactured in a laboratory, and each unit of blood can save up to 3 lives. So in our case, 80 units of blood meant that we could have saved up to 240 lives. Also, once you fulfill your end of the deal, keep going. In our case, even Zinni and our son Doctor donate blood. And as a family, we recently reached a milestone of 100 plus 1 blood donations. Law number 3, you can't sit and wait around for things to happen and fall from the sky. You've got to be proactive and make the first move. The CEO of the universe doesn't need us. Making a deal with him is a favor that he's conferring unto us. Understand that it's not a right. Law number 4, you've got to have faith. I mean, how do you expect the one CEO of the universe to believe that you are worthy of his abundant, unlimited, and infinite bounties that he may well bestow upon you and your family indefinitely when you don't fully believe in him? Law number 5, think big, ask for big things, but be patient. In 1999, the time wasn't right for us to have kids, but we nonetheless carried on believing, and when the time was right, he gave us not 1, but 2 kids. Also, you've got to be flexible because you may just get something else. It may be not something that you want, but something that you need. It could be a bicycle meant to get you into shape before your Ferrari arrives. And remember, our dear friends, everything in the universe happens at its appointed time. When our hearts truly believe, there is no limit to what the one CEO of the universe will help us achieve that is far beyond what our minds can conceive. I know that whenever I needed the CEO of the universe, he's always been there for me. As long as I had faith in him, as long as I believed in him, and as long as I put him the center of my life. He's always been there for me. He is the one who brings day out of night and night out of day. He is the one who turns winter into spring and who turns a lifeless tree into a beautiful bush of roses. Our dear friends, we can't promise you that if you follow what we tell you, that success will immediately be yours. However, we do guarantee that when you follow these 6 tried and tested laws, you will not be disappointed. So, our dear friends, As we get ready to bid farewell to 2022 and turn a new leaf into a new year, we invite you to become a student of our award-winning, awe-inspiring and life-altering Isaac Lakhi My 2 Cents Platinum Club. In this unique club, you can choose between our Platinum Digital Workshop or our 12-month Group Platinum Live Stream Coaching. In both options, we are going to cover tried and tested content from money mastery and relationship mastery to mind mastery and personal mastery. We are going to hold your hand as we transform your life. We are going to take you from heedlessness to wakefulness, from ordinary to extraordinary, and from working class to world class. We are going to craft a crystal clear vision, mission, and unique value proposition for you. And after each and every session, you're going to feel refreshed, renewed, and reinvigorated. Our purpose is to help you to live a more meaningful, measurable, significant, and sustainable life. Our solutions are step by step, easy to understand, and easy to implement. Our Platinum coaching sessions are between 60 and 90 minutes in duration and are held fortnightly on the first and third Tuesday of each month. Our 2023 coaching kicks off on 3rd of January and intake for 2023 is currently open but closes soon. Your investment in a new you starts from less than $100. It's completely digital and you can simply log on from your laptop, smartphone, tablet or TV while in your pajamas. For the valiant, illustrious and honored few that are bold and brave enough to catapult your life into the next stratosphere, please go to our website lakhi.biz for more details. Dear friend, like that zebra, you are not just 1 in a million. In fact, you're not even 1 in a billion. You are 1 in 8 billion. You are unique. You are different. You matter. You are important. Make your life matter. We dare you. If you haven't already done so, please go to our website lakhi.biz for more information and to enroll for our award-winning, awe-inspiring and life-altering solutions. This is Isaac and Zenith Lakhi saying, we love you.